Hello, this is author Kristen Otte here today. As you know, I like to do video posts occasionally and liven things up on the blog. Today I decided to try something new and do my book reviews, my monthly book reviews on video. So in addition to this video post, you also will have the normal book reviews. Whenever I read a book, I write a short review on Goodreads and Amazon. It's just a little practice I've gotten into to help out fellow authors. And so it's really easy for me to still post those reviews over on my blog, but I thought I'd take a few minutes to talk about each of my books in addition, each of the books I've read rather, in addition to the short review I have here. So in the month of September, I read 4 books. If you know anything about me, I usually read about a book a week. Sometimes that varies depending on the size of the book, length of the book, and what I'm up to. But in September, I was right on track with 4 books a month. So the first book I want to talk about is, it's actually going in reverse order from the blog post. It's called The Splendour Falls by Susanna Kearsley. And Susanna Kearsley is a historical fiction writer, and she kind of blends mystery into, a lot of times it's set in contemporary settings, and then you kind of are learning about history throughout, or at least that's what I've read about her. This is the first book I've read by her, and it actually is one of her early books. It was written in 1996, but rebranded recently, and I picked it up pretty cheap on Kindle, so that's how I kind of fell into it. And it was about main character named Emily, who is on a trip on holiday and kind of stumbles across a mystery that includes some murder and some history and some treasure hunting. The language in the book was beautiful, but I did find it a little bit predictable at times, and so that's why I only gave it about 4 stars. I have read that she's got some really good books she's written more recently, so I'm going to keep her on my radar and maybe pick up another one of her books in the near future, because I do like reading historical fiction. Despite my recent reviews, I realized I haven't read a lot of historical fiction. But anyways, so it was an enjoyable book. So if you like kind of a cozy mystery type of book with some historical aspects, maybe check out some of her books. I wouldn't recommend The Splendour Falls, but I'm sure there's something else that you could pick up by her. The next book I read was called We Were Liars, which is kind of been on the top of my radar for this summer. It came out, I'm going to say June, but I'm not really sure about that, but it came out pretty recently, and it's a young adult contemporary story, and it's gotten some press, and so I finally, I think I've had it on hold at the library for a bit, and so I finally picked it up, or it came through, and honestly, I was a little bit disappointed in it, mainly because the main character, and this isn't a spoiler at all, has amnesia, and so she's trying to remember this summer and what happened. And you know, I feel like that amnesia storyline is kind of played out a bit. It does bring up some very interesting issues of materialism, I can't say that word, socioeconomic class. Of course, there's a love story intertwined, and you know, just some coming of age stuff in this. It is kind of sad, kind of dark at the end. It didn't hit me emotionally as much as some other books I've read, and so I gave it about 4 stars again, 4 out of 7. By the way, my rating system is on the post, so scan down to the bottom of the post if you want to see that. But so I gave her kind of middle of the road, just because it did feel, well, number one, I just don't really like dark stories that much, at least at this point in my life. I like happy endings, what can I say? And then the other part is just, man, that amnesia, I was just like, really, again? But it was twisty, and so if you like those kinds of stories, you like young adult, it's worth the read. It's definitely well written, and the short, choppy sentences, I think, are kind of fun. So let's see, I want to move up to, I read The Daughter of Smoke and Bone. That was the most recent book I read by Laini Taylor, and this is another popular young adult series. I think the final book was released pretty recently. I'm, of course, behind, as always. I think this book came out in like 2011, maybe. And so I think the tag phrase is a devil and an angel fell in love. And it's a love story, but it's setting up this big story arc of, you know, good versus evil is what you want to think, but really we learn some backstory behind the angels and the devils, or what you want to call them. It's a little bit different terminology in the book, and why they are at war with each other and how similar they really are. Anyways, and the love story is kind of intertwined with that. I really love the strong female lead. I think she's great. I also thought the imagery was just stunning in this book. The way Taylor just paints a picture, it's set in the Czech Republic at first, and so in Prague, and so just the scenery and the beautiful way she described it is just awesome. And then it also takes us to some other places in the world and some fictional places too, and that was great. And like I said, I'm just really excited to see where this story goes, because it's the first in the series. There's a lot of world building and setup, and I like where it's going and kind of twisting on, you know, who's really good, who's really bad. And because I'm late on the series, I can just go ahead and dive right into the next one. So I'm excited about picking up the second one very, very soon and kind of cruising through this series. So if you like young adult and it's kind of a paranormal feel, which I don't read as much of, definitely pick it up. Finally, the last book I read is another historical fiction. It's called The Book Thief, which is a book that has been around and read in schools, and just a renowned book for years. It was made into a movie recently, and it's been on my read list for a long time, and I just haven't picked it up until I finally watched the movie, which is odd. Usually I always read the book first and then watch the movie. But for this one, I actually picked up the movie first, and because of that, I got The Book Thief. This was a little bit different for me because I actually listened to it on audiobook, and that was kind of fun for me too. I've been trying to work in some more audiobooks into my reading. It kind of lets me read more by doing the audiobook in addition to my Kindle. I really love this book. It's not a fast read in any sense, and it's heavy, and I want to call it thick and deep, and it takes some time, even doing audiobook wise. And you have death as the narrator, and that's just great. I love that point of view. I love how creative that is, and I love that this is much different than what I normally read in the young adult genre. I like that it has this historical setting and just this heavy meaning and just heaviness to the book. If you haven't read it yet, I know like I said, a lot of schools do read this as part of their curriculum. I just encourage you to pick it up. This is definitely, it's a teen book because it's starring a teen character, but this is a book worthy of adults and one that I could read over and over. It just talks about the power of words and about morality, war, and more. It's just really great, and I just loved it so much because it's unique and so much different than some of the more contemporary stuff, or rather contemporary books that I've read recently. And so, yeah. So if you haven't read The Book Thief yet, and you've thought about it but just haven't picked it up, just go do it. I mean, it's going to be at your library. I guarantee that, or buy it, and read that. It's worth it, definitely. So those are, by the way, I gave The Book Thief 6 out of 7 stars, but I'm leaning on 7 maybe for that one, and Daughter of Smoke and Bone is a 6-star for me. This is my first book review video post, so please tell me if you enjoyed hearing about the books by me talking about them. I know I'm not the best with spoken words at time, but I do think that video posts are fun to do, and I enjoy them. So I think I'm going to try out the video posts for the book reviews for the next couple months and see how that goes. Let me know what you've been reading and what you recommend. I know right now I am reading a book by Lindsay Buroker, and then I also have a book called I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson that just came out. It's gotten a lot of critical acclaim, and it's on the bestseller list already. I'm really excited about that because I loved her debut, The Sky is Everywhere. So I have that book coming up, and then after that, I also have Heir of Fire, Sarah J. Maas's latest in the, what's that called? Assassin's Blade, I think it is, series. So, so it's like a young adult fantasy books. So I have all of those and in my queue, and probably some more. And always looking for recommendations. I might not read it right away, but hopefully I get to it sometime. I think that's it for me today. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this book reviews post. Again, this is author Kristen Otte, and have a great week.